Hey y'all, it is Andrea here at VW Family Farm. Welcome back. We have had a lot of traffic on our Blackleg video, and a lot of people reach out to us concerned about that situation. First off, I just want to say thank you. Thank you that you guys care about us and our farm. And secondly, that's what this video is about. I wanted to give you an update on how that's went since the last video, and because it's been kind of developing ever since then. I want to tell you a little more about Blackleg and just kind of what's taking place here on our farm. We're gonna get some feeding done. We've got to put out hay. We're going around and putting minerals at all the different pens of cows because salt and mineral is very important in just keeping them healthy. It won't prevent things like Blackleg, but it's just like with people, the healthier condition you're in when you are exposed to something or when something tries to get going, the better off you're gonna be. So we're going and we're filling up salt and mineral, we're putting out hay, all those kinds of things. We're taking you guys along and we will try to answer all your questions. So let's go. So blackleg or anthrax in cattle can be caused by multiple different strains of bacteria. They're gram-positive bacteria, and the vaccine we gave covers multiple strains. So that's something you'll want to look in your area. Just at your local feed store, you can buy vaccines and see what's available, see what they recommend. We are actually in the pen of the heifers we just AI'd. There's a few cows in here. There is some steers in here that are actually going to be processed early in the year, and they have been without salt and minerals for a bit now. Not an outrageous time. We try to keep it out all the time, but I want to show you something. So again, salt and mineral is not going to prevent anything by any means in this case with blackleg, but it's something they're driven to and they need, their bodies are craving. So that's just one good animal practice I would encourage you to, if you've overlooked lately, put some out, especially during this time of the year when salt and minerals can be lacking because all they're eating is mainly hay. So just don't overlook that important step. In one side of the field and out the other. We're about to put out some hay. This is our big large herd of cows, and I want to show you guys something while we're over here. So Ben's gonna get the hay strings cut and start rolling their hay out, and I wanna go show y'all something y'all been asking about. Gotta find her first. There she is. So a lot of you have told me over the years that Blue, the one we call Blue, is your favorite cow. And actually, I did not expect her to be pregnant when we did the preg checking because she has not had a calf in a while. and I couldn't feel anything when I went in there, and I couldn't see anything on ultrasound. But it turns out she was very pregnant. She did show up when I did the blood test. She did show up like a faint line, which those tests I showed y'all in that video, a faint line means pregnant just like a dark line does. It's if it detects hormones at all, then they are bred. And sure enough, she was pretty far along. Where's your baby? Where's your baby, girl? There it is. There it is. You're so precious. So Blue had a baby. So excited. It's so cute. I actually cannot remember. We've had several lately. Can't remember if it's a bull or heifer, and she won't let me close enough to look today. So I've got it wrote down at home, but super excited about that. We've got several little newborns right now. It's really good. Just a good time. So those were the fun updates. Now let's head over to the pen of calves that we have had the blackleg in. And I just wanted to tell you a couple things as we're heading over there. One thing is, one question we've had a lot is, how long can blackleg live in the ground and what can you do about it? The answer is blackleg can live about 11 years in your soil. So it's not something necessarily you can let that pasture rest a year or so and be rid of.
And also, talking to some old timers around, I've heard it can live decades in the soil. So I don't know that there's any tried and true or known fact about exactly how long it can live. It's just known that it can live a long time.
And I know from you, like, we were trying to be good neighbors and let people know that, hey, we have a creek, we have a pond that flows into a creek that flows across our property and other people's property. And in talking and trying to spread that word, one of those is a very knowledgeable cattle farmer that actually makes feed and stuff in our area. And he said,
it's
I appreciate it. Yeah, I appreciate it, but it's everywhere.
Yeah.
And just...
It wasn't shocking to him. It was shocking to us. That's the first time we'd ever encountered it on our farm, but...
And I think in encountering this, we're just really very fortunate that this hasn't happened sooner. And I kind of have suspicions. I mean, when you have a large herd of cattle, you're going to have some deaths that you never really know why they died. And we've had a random one or two here in the past, not recent, but over there, that really has me questioning if they were blackleg. Because there's so many things cattle can die from. It could have been something else, but
right.
It could have been.
One thing that I did when I was talking to the vet, he told us to do the autopsy. Well, that's 2 more. And that ain't good. We have to know what's going on here. I've contacted the vet, called him, talked to him yesterday, and he said that if these did end up dying, that we needed to do an autopsy. And an autopsy is not really on my bucket list of the to-do things, but definitely got to figure out what's going on here. If it's blackleg, we've done what we can, we've treated for it. But if for some reason it's something else, something that they're eating, not sure, not positive what it can be, but we got to do this just to eliminate or make sure that we know what we're dealing with. So to do it is, he told me to come in here and cut the chest cavity open, and he needs to see a picture of the lungs. I don't know, I guess it's something mental in me. I can do a deer, I can process a deer after harvesting one of them, but I don't know, something about this thing dying of unnatural causes is just bleh. And I've got easy gag reflexes. Definitely not in the most pristine spot to get in there and start doing this type of work. I didn't bring a ATV or anything over here to pull it out. I'm gonna get in there and see if I can work on it. Man, it's briars everywhere in there, ain't there? We ain't got nothing on the truck to hook onto it and pull it. Huh. We didn't come very prepared. Alright. Alright, here we go. So last night, trying to get one of these better, we come over here and it was laid on its side. We brought this bale of straw over here to kind of scotch it up, hold it up where it didn't lay down and on its side. When they do that, they'll just sit there and bloat and end up suffocating. So we put that beside it, gave it some antibiotics, gave it some like liquid Tylenol, gave it some more of that power punch. Tried everything we could, but the vet had told me, he said, there's nothing you can do if this is blackleg. So we need to verify if it is or if it isn't. So this knife has actually got a hook on it right here to keep from puncturing their guts. That is where I'll lose my gravy right now. The smell of all that, I'll lose it. But you can hook that in there.
That is not pneumonia. Okay. So, it's going to be blackleg, I bet. So go back to that back leg.
Can you see this top?
All that right through there. Yep.
I can get a trackhoe and get over here and bury it. I called about one while ago.
Yeah, I mean that. If you bury it deep, Ben, because that bacteria will live right there in that ground for freaking ever. So yeah, just bury it deep.
And what about this?
Probably what I would do is if you dig a hole, I'd go get about 10 gallons of diesel and pour on that carcass and light it.
Okay, so now that we have determined it is blackleg, 100%, vet says so. He had me actually do an autopsy on him all the way down to the lungs, look inside. We actually FaceTimed. He looked at the lungs through FaceTime and then also looked at the meat when I started cutting the front leg quarter off and getting up next to the back where a lot of the big muscle is for your T-bone steaks and stuff like that. All that muscle up in there was just the only thing that me and Lane could kind of compare it to. It'd be like if you shoot a deer and do a lot of trauma in there. There was a lot of trauma to the meat, and it's all from that bacteria. So this is really highly transmissible to cattle by the spores getting in the ground. So what we're going to do, actually went and borrowed this trackhoe from a really good friend of mine. We're going to dig a big deep hole, put both of these in it, and light them on fire and try to kill as much of this as we can. But then also they're going to be buried very deep. So I got to get busy. So we're going to stand off here to the side a little ways and just make sure that this don't get out, because just right on the other side of these woods I've got a bunch of pines, and they ain't but probably 8 years old and got sage grass and all that around it, so definitely don't want this thing getting out there. But just hope this works. Hope it kills all the spores in this disease, and I'll come out here tomorrow and dress up where we started dissecting that one, and just make sure anything that's spilled off, I'm gonna try to get that buried too. So. That's starting to make me nervous.
You know it's rolling when you can see like it's daylight.
Yeah, and I don't know if that is the actual animal burning that well, or he dumped 5 gallons of diesel on there. So, and then we've got cedar tree limbs we piled on top of that. But when I cut open its chest plate, I mean, it was blatantly obvious there was trauma there. It was dark. It was really, I ain't gonna say bloody, but liquidy. So it was like a blood
It wasn't
water.
thick at all, like clotted blood would be.
And it wasn't, I've skinned many deer in my life, so I know what it looks like when you cut the hide off of an animal. And this just looked traumatized. So there was definitely a noticeable difference in it. And if we ever have any more die like just randomly, that's one quick, easy way that you can just cut it open right there on the chest plate and know that I can tell now that it would be blackleg.
Now, I do want to mention we're going to head over there and show you some stuff. I've got a few more things to tell you, but I'll tell you those later. But just be careful. We're not advocating that you start cutting your own animals open, because blackleg is not transmissible to humans, but anthrax is, and that is a disease in cattle. We just in our area, that's not really a concern for us, but I don't know about your area. So just before you ever start cutting open an animal you don't know what it died from, be in contact with your vet and make sure they're like, yeah, it's fine, go for it. Or if they're like, no, absolutely don't. So just want to put that out there.
You might be wondering why I always do this, is put 2 of them in here at the same time. I like an even mixture of it. If you get a lot of mineral, they'll really go after the mineral. The salt kind of slows them down on that. So we always, both. Yeah, they need both, but we want to mix it together.
So when the kids and I do it, we literally just dump them at the same time and call it good. Ben mixes them further with his arm, but hey, you do you. I don't know if y'all can see, they're right through those woods. They want to know what we're doing up here. So they've actually got the run of the front and the back pasture over here. We're gonna go to the back now. We are putting out some grain for these. These are freshly weaned calves in the last few months. We are basically giving them a snack when calves are young and on their mom and they're basically just drinking milk. That milk just passes over their rumen, because calves and cows in general are ruminants along with other animals as well, so they have multiple stomachs. So that milk just passes over, and their 4th stomach is called the abomasum, and that's what digests that milk. So when you take them off a mom and they're responsible for feeding themselves, something's got to get that rumen going. And I'm not saying you can't do it without a little bit of grain, but a little bit of grain after you've weaned them sure does help to get that rumen activated. And I'll just tell you from personal experience, I know there's times that we never did a real good job of getting that rumen going, because there's just some calves that just seem like they won't grow, especially if they get weaned off of mom pretty early, or possibly they're a bottle baby that's then not really properly fed after that. Just different things. So if you don't get that rumen going, you're not going to have as good a crop of calves. So this is doing a couple things for us. It's helping with that rumen, and then it's training them to come up to us, so that we're gonna have to give a booster shot in a couple weeks from now, so we won't have a nightmare like we did the first time trying to get them up in a corral.
definitely don't take them long to get used to this routine. They're running after us now.
So another thing we're doing right now is we're counting, because that's what alerted me the first day, is finding one dead. And then after that is just counting every day and figuring out who's not here and where are they. So the first day I came over here and discovered that the first one was dead, that's one thing I wanted to tell you guys about, is it had a frothy, foamy blood coming out its nose, and it had blood coming out the other end, and that's a sign as well. So if you have one just die like that, that's one of the telltale signs. And just the number one telltale sign is your cow or calf is fine, and then it goes down. And this mainly affects, I said on the last video, calves from like 6 months to 2 years. These were some of our oldest calves over here that were our firstborn this past calving season. So they were big, they were healthy, they'd been weaned a while. It was nothing to do with them being weaned off of mom. So after we found the first one dead, here's the timeline of it all. I called Ben. He came home from work as soon as he could, and we started trying to get these calves up who had not been fed, who had not been used to this pasture. It was a nightmare. We noticed one kind of hobbling around. And in fact, when we shot the video of the first vaccine, some of you mentioned it. You can see that one that's kind of hobbling in the background. We wound up, we did not get them. It got dark on us. We worked for hours trying to get these up. Came back the next day and finally did get them up after a lot of work. Gave them the first dose of a blackleg vaccine, which covers multiple strains. That's the one we used. I think it's called Ultrabac 7 or something like that. It's like 7 different strains. Again, I encourage you to use something that people in your area recommend, but that's what we used. Got them vaccinated. That one was puny, I'll call it. It was limping around. Came back the next day. So we're 48 hours after the first one died, and 2 more are sickly and dying. We wound up, you can give, if you're going to give something for blackleg, give penicillin. That's the drug of choice. It's probably not going to help. It's a death sentence at that point. But we tried. We were out here in the dark with flashlights medicating. Came back the next day, and we were pretty sure they were going to be dead, and they were. So now we've got 3 dead at this point, and we vaccinated, all of them were here at that point. Either it was the one dead and the whole group was here, but the numbers added up, if you will. So then the next day when we came back and those 2 had went down that I was telling you we were medicating, there's another one can't be found at all. So it's missing at that point. So at that point of the autopsy, we had 3 dead and 1 missing. And let me just pan around and show you this place. So we've got a little patch of woods right here. This divides the front from the back. It goes on down to there. That's a pond. There's a little woods around that, but it's not very dense or anything. And then that right back there is a little patch of woods. And then that is our property line back there, where you can see those cedars and stuff. That's just a fence. So that's a little patch of woods. That right there is the other corner. It's a teeny tiny patch of woods. But we have literally walked every square inch of this place multiple times, and we cannot find this missing calf. We have put out the alert to neighbors that, hey, we have a missing calf. Nothing. This calf is nowhere to be found. I am 99% sure it has gone off and died somewhere, because it's the same time the others did, but it is nowhere to be found. We are hoping for some closure at some point. That we've told people that live around here, if you see buzzards, if you smell, because that's another thing with blackleg, they decompose very, very quickly, to let us know. We'd like just some closure on to know it's not out there roaming around somewhere. But more than likely, if it had gotten out, it would be back with the herd. There's no signs of the fence being broken or anything. So I really feel strongly it's in here and we've just missed it. I have no idea how. But after that, thankfully, praise the Lord, we have not lost any more. So out of 32 over here, we lost 4. So that's terrible, but we are very thankful. It's been days now and we haven't lost any more. So we're hoping that this situation is stopped. But as I told you on the last video, after you do the first vaccine, you need to do another one 3 weeks later, and within the first 2 weeks after the first dose, you can continue losing them. So we're not out of the woods yet. We're about a week into this. We've got another week, but we're hoping that it's going to be stopped at this point. So if I can encourage you guys of anything, let me leave you with this. Vaccinate your cattle. Vaccinate for blackleg. Don't wind up in this situation for something that's so easily preventable. I just told you it can live in your soil for 11 years, and Ben has been told for decades. So you cannot avoid it, but you can vaccinate and solve the problem. If your calves drink milk from their mom, drink the colostrum, that first rich, thick milk that is like gold for those calves. If they drink that, they're covered. If the mom is vaccinated, they're covered for about 3 to 4 months. So anything older than 4 months, even if they're still on the mom, they begin to be susceptible. Their immunity starts waning. So you need to vaccinate before 3 or 4 months of age, and then they need a booster 3 or 4 weeks later after that, calves do. And you need to vaccinate your adult cattle once a year. This is something, it will be in practice from this point forward here on our farm, and I would just encourage you to do that. It's terrible for us, we lost 4, but it'd be terrible for someone who only had 4 to lose 4. That would just be devastating.
So as y'all previously seen, we had dug the hole, we pushed them off in there, or drug them off in there. We ended up pouring about 10 gallons of diesel. We found some old dead trees around here we broke up and we put in there. We tried burning, but that night came a torrential downpour. I'm telling you, we got more rain that night than we have in the past 6 months combined. So that put out our fire, of course. So what I've got to do is I've got to come over here and I've got to put some more logs on this and start this fire all over again. I want to get these things completely burned up, disintegrated pretty much. And then I'll come back in here with a tractor or track hoe or something and push all this dirt and bury them. When you do this, you want to, of course, you want to dig as deep as you possibly can. My situation, I hit solid rock and wasn't able to go any deeper. So it is what it is. That's where they're at. And that's why I really want to concentrate on burning them up as much as possible.
All right, so that's where we are. We will let you know. I am really hopeful that this has stopped and we're not going to lose any more. In fact, I'm going to be really disappointed at this point. We've went days without losing any. I'm going to be really disappointed if we lose any more. But we're trusting in the Lord. This is going to turn out okay. We're going to make it through this. I hate that it happened, but we're going to not let this be a wasted lesson. We're going to learn from it. I'll see you guys later. Thanks for watching. God bless.